Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn how to make this website using JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. What we have here is a button that says switch to 24-hour time, and the current time is displayed in the middle of the screen in 12-hour time. So it says 10:40 a.m. with the seconds ticking away. So if I click this button, it should switch, the text on the button should switch to say switch to 12-hour time, and then we see 12-hour time displayed below without the AM or PM. And if this were past, say, 1 o'clock PM, this should say 13 instead of 1 for 1 o'clock to show 24-hour time. And then if you click it again, it toggles back to 12-hour time. All right, I've got Visual Studio Code open, and I've got 3 files going: clock.html, script.js, which is empty, because we will be writing the code for that in this video, and styles.css, which makes our website look the way we want it to. And in clock.html, we'll start there. What we have is a reference to the external JavaScript file, the .js file. And this is a common and recommended technique. You don't usually want to put the script inside of your HTML. It's better to have it in an external file and link it in. Just like you link in the CSS file, we're linking in the script file by just having script tags with a source. I've given it this title of JS clock, and down in the body, we have the button, which is styled the way we want. I've hard-coded 24-hour right now so we know what it looks like. And here we have the clock div that has a span here for clock text. So we're going to reference that ID clock text so that we can change the time based on that ID, as we saw in the last video with get element by ID and then make this time update. Right now I've hard-coded everything, so when you look at the website as it currently stands without the HTML, it looks the way you want it to. So if I go ahead and view this, this is what we get. So jumping right into the script.js file, I'm going to create a function that does nothing but prints test to the console. And the reason I do that is because I want to make sure everything is working and the script is pulling into the HTML and working the way it should before we get too far down the road. So going back into the clock, what we want to do is go into the body. We want the clock to display as soon as the page loads. And so the way to do that is maybe go into the body and type onLoad and set it equal to that function display time. And once we do that, whenever we load the body, it'll display the time into the console. And the way to display the console is to go into More Tools of Chrome and click on Developer Tools. And right there it says Test. And the reason it says that is when this page loaded, it ran that code. So it looks like the JavaScript is working. And by the way, I wanted to introduce something else. Right now we're using ES5 syntax. And I wanted to show you what the current JavaScript ES6 syntax looks like. Basically, you can set this, instead of function, you write const display time, set it equal to any parameters you're going to pass, and then use an arrow. Let's go ahead and use this one instead of the function syntax, because I want to show you what modern JavaScript in the newest syntax looks like. The first order of business is to get the date. So I'm going to say let date equal date, the JavaScript function. Now date has all the date data for the current day, and we can pull anything we want off of it. For example, I can say let HH equal date.hour, get hours, equal date.get minutes, let SS equal date.get seconds. Now what I want to be able to do is, if we have a time, say, of hour 1 or minute is 1, for example, I want to be able to show it as 2 digits with a leading 0. And so what I can do is say set HH equal to, and then check. This is a ternary operator, a shorthand if-else statement. So it's going to check, is HH less than 10? In other words, a number like 0 through 9, question mark. And so if it is, I want it to display as 0, then HH. Otherwise, just give me HH. I'm going to copy that down, and it's going to be the same thing for the minutes and the seconds. Next, I need to figure out whether it's AM or PM for the 12-hour clock. So I'm going to create a new variable and call it let category, time category maybe, and set it to AM. So if HH is equal to 0, then we're going to say HH equals 12. Then if HH is greater than 12, HH is equal to HH minus 12. So for example, if it's on a 24-hour clock, if it's 1300 hours, it's actually 13 minus 12, or 1 p.m. And speaking of PM, we now need to change the time category to equal PM. Then I want to be able to format the time fully with the hours, minutes, and seconds. And for that, I'm going to say time is HH plus a colon plus MM plus colon plus SS plus a space and then plus time category. And I didn't declare that variable, so up here I'm going to go back and say let time equal null. Once we have the time, we need to actually display it. And if you look back at the HTML, the place where we want to display it has the ID clock text. And in there we've hard-coded the time right now. But if I delete that, now that I've deleted it, there shouldn't be any time displayed. And there it is, it's empty. And so what we want to be able to do now is go in and change that. I'm going to say document.getElementById, and the ID is clockText.innerText, and we're going to set it equal to time. Now let's see, nothing has happened, but why is that? Oh, I think I see the problem. What we need to do here is, instead of date, we need new date. And new creates a date instance to put into date. And that's, you got to remember to use the new keyword to create a new instance of a date object. So now it displays the time, but it's not ticking away. To get the time to tick away, we're going to use a very simple function that's available to JavaScript out of the box, and that's called setTimeout. And setTimeout is used quite often when you need something to happen continuously. And what I want this thing to do is to set timeout and do some kind of a function after every so often. So I want it to do display time every 1,000 milliseconds. And what that means is every 1,000 milliseconds, or in other words, every second, this set timeout will call display time again. And every time it calls display time, it should update the time. This way, the seconds will tick away. Let's see if that works. And we've got a live clock. If I refresh, same thing. So it's working. And now what we want to do is work on the switch to 24-hour time so we can toggle back and forth between 12 and 24-hour time. To get the toggler to work, I'm going to go back to the HTML document, and what I need is some function to run when the button is clicked. Put an onClick handler here, and I'm going to call it toggle1224. So whenever I click the button, I want to run a function called toggle1224. And I'm going to go ahead and copy that and put it here, and we're going to say const toggle1224 is equal to empty parentheses because it's not going to take any parameters. And now we can put in code here that will run when we click the button. So as soon as we click it, we wanted to note what state the button is in. In other words, is it in 12-hour time or 24-hour time? So we needed some way to keep track of it in this JavaScript file. So one way to do that is to create a sort of global variable up here. And I'm going to say let format1224 equal format12. So that's what it's currently set at, format as 12-hour time. And so down here, when you click it, it's got to change that. And maybe we'll just call it format to keep it simple. Let format equals format12. And so down here, when you click the button, if format is equal to format12, then what we want to do is set format equal to format24, and otherwise set format equal to format 12. So what this does is change the variable up here to one or the other. And the reason I put it up here outside of all the other functions is because now display time has access to that information and can display accordingly based on which format is used. So now I can simply go in here and put another if-else to display it properly. One thing I just realized what we have to do is once the format is changed, we do need to go ahead and change the text inside the span. So if you recall, the 24 and 12 hour, the button here, it needs to change its text. And so what I'll need to do there is go back in here and say document.getElement by ID, and the ID for the span is hour format. So I'm going to go click on that and say hour format dot inner text, and we're going to set it equal to some text we want it to display. And we can write 12-hour text or 12-hour or 24-hour, but I just want to create some constants there. Constant 12-hour text and set it equal to 12-hour, and otherwise, and also set a 24-hour text equal to 24-hour. And so now I can just reference those down here, and I'll do the same for the other case. And this one, however, will be 24-hour text. So if I click the button and it's currently in 12-hour text, then it's going to switch to 24-hour text and change the button text to say, if you click me again, you're going to switch back to 12-hour text. And the opposite in the else block. Now what we need to do is tell the function here, display time, to shift how it displays things based on what the state is of format. So what I can do is say if format is equal to format 12, then we're going to do all of these actions here for the 12-hour time. Otherwise, we're just going to let time equal the hours, minutes, seconds without the time category. Let's see if that works. So now it works. It displays it in 24-hour time. The button switches to 12-hour time on the text of the button. And when I click it, it goes back. But did you notice the delay? Did you notice that when I click it, there's sometimes a delay there of up to a second before it updates? I don't really like that, so what can we do about it? Well, when you look at this, if you notice when we click the button, all we do is set the format variable and we change the button text. But when is this supposed to update, the display time? So, it's going to eventually find out that the variable format has changed, but you can make it do it right away by going down here and just calling display time. Every time the update is made, it calls display time immediately, and then that lag won't happen. So if we go back here and switch, everything is immediate and it looks more fluid. The last thing I want to do is delete this hard-coded 24-hour written in the code for the span here, because we don't need the hard-coded data anymore because the JavaScript is handling the inputs there. And with that, I think we're done. So thanks for watching this video. If you like the content, make sure to like and subscribe down below. As always, the final files for the project are in the description. And in the next video, we're going to, of course, obviously use more JavaScript and introduce more functionality, maybe look at form validation and things like that we can do with JavaScript, other typical types of things we do with it. So I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.